Hello, my name is Taylor Brooks Brown. My candidate number is 0043880009, and this is my presentation for Standard Level Film Studies. I'm going to talk about the 2014 Irish drama Calvary, directed by John McDonagh. The main themes evident in the film are religion, ethics, trust, and corruption. This differs from other works by director Michael McDonagh, which involve the comedy thriller The Guard and the action-adventure film Ned Kelly. These films focus more on the entertainment aspect, while Calvary intends to deliver a more serious tone and a message on the social issues of its time. Binary oppositions that I've identified include individual versus community and good versus evil. The protagonist, a humble priest called Father James, stands out as one of the very few good people in the town, contrasting the corrupt nature of the people within the community in which the film is set. From a religious point of view, he is seen as a very pure person with great integrity, whilst the other people in the community could be seen as evil through demonstrating sins such as adultery and insincerely following a faith. The director's intention in addressing these themes is to change people's perception of a priest. He is very much seen as the victim throughout the story, and as an audience we warm to his good nature. This contradicts what many people might associate with a priest, given the supposed incidences of paedophilia that we know of in modern society. The equilibrium theory is put in place in the film, and the narrative shows a clear structure that adds to the foreseeing of an inevitable conclusion. The displacement of the equilibrium occurs right at the start of the film, when James is told he is going to be killed in a week's time. This conflict triggers the main body of the narrative. Within the course of a week, James is determined to help the people of his town set their lives on a better course. In doing this, he shows his moral goodness, despite the fatal threat that awaits him on the following Sunday. The construction of the film keeps us informed of when events take place through these daily notifications. Towards the end of the week, we can see James's character break down slightly under the oppression from other people around him, due to the common stereotype and association of his status as a priest. The bar fight at the end of near the end of the movie is a climatic point in the narrative where he's overwhelmed by the harsh treatment he's been constantly receiving. The director targets the adult generation with the intention of changing their thoughts and associations of priests. This generation of people in particular are disgusted by the common incidents of rape and abuse to children that priests are involved in. By putting the audience on the side of a good priest, they can see how a stereotype can affect the life of an innocent person. People who do not deserve the conflict they encounter, as is the case with the protagonist in this film. The director appeals to the audience through close relationships that James has, for example with his daughter Fiona and his dog Bruno. Throughout the film we get to know James as a person, and by giving him these close relationships that many people can relate to, there is a sense of empathy created for his character. This is taken further by the thought of these two people being taken away from him. His daughter trying to commit suicide and the murder of his dog are two tragic events that grasp the support of the audience. It could also be seen that the brutality shown towards James by other characters like the mechanic in the town and Veronica makes us feel sympathetic towards him and therefore bond with his character. The film is a drama and conforms to this through both character and setting. The setting is realistic as a small town, which promotes the idea of community, which is something a lot of people can relate to. The characters are realistic to some extent in the way that we know these types of people do exist in the world, but their roles are exaggerated to emphasize the oppression put on the innocent priest and achieve the film's intention of changing the audience views on a cultural stereotype. The film deals with strong ethical values and ideas of trust and forgiveness. It relays the idea of being true to a faith and to not judge people based on common stereotypes. The audience are made to question the conventions of a priest they might believe are appropriate due to a common conception in modern society today. Throughout the film, there are recurring references to the priest as a paedophile. For example, when James and a young girl are walking down a path, the girl's father angrily pulls up in a car and takes her away from James, showing a fear of her being in danger. There is also the story that the doctor tells James in the bar, and of course the whole reason for the conflict of the entire film, the abuse of the man in the confession box at the start. However, the director intends to change these views through the representation of a good priest, someone who challenges this cultural stereotype and promotes the moral of the film, not to categorize people based on common conceptions of their status in society or a particular group they belong to. The film was produced by various independent companies, Reprisal Films, Octagon Films, and Lip Sync Productions. It also received funding from the Irish Film Board. For its size of production, the film was an economic success, grossing $3,593,460 as of 10th of October 2014. It was released across many countries, covering a lot of Europe, the USA, and Australia. Its reception was just as good internationally based on feedback left on IMDb, showing its international significance. It has taken on a topic that few other films have attempted to challenge, making it an important historical document of its time. The 5-minute sequence I've selected is from 37:23 to 42:23 and begins with a close-up of the hospital patient in a coma. This scene is very significant to the film as a whole, as critical ideas of faith and the attitude of the townspeople are highlighted, showing themes that run parallel to the nature of the film. James engages in a meaningful conversation with Teresa, the wife of a man who is revealed to have died in a coma. She's lost a loved one, but not her faith in God, which contrasts the other member of the community, who are misguided by their own sinful attitudes. This woman is one of the very few people in the film who also has a good nature like our protagonist. This adds to the audience's appreciation of the characters. Some takes are especially drawn out in length to leave the audience in this upsetting moment of the film and attach them to the tragic emotions of the characters at this point. After blessing the man, we see James and Teresa praying over his body for almost 5 seconds before cutting to the next scene. This leaves the audience to absorb the tragic emotions evident at this particular moment and attach them to the loss of this innocent woman's husband. Editing is also significant in the short dreamlike phase that James experiences. The rapid use of jump cuts between the same shot but with a different member of the town pointing a gun towards the camera makes us feel rather uncomfortable and also reflects the distress that the main character is feeling. The soft use of music during the scene in the church runs parallel to the nature of the scene. The violins create a sense of sadness which mimics the characters' emotions as they express how upset they are with the world around them. Apart from the dialogue, there is no diegetic sound in this clip, which adds to the effect of setting, which creates a feel of peace and purity within the church. The soft delivery of dialogue emphasizes the innocence of these two characters and enhances our emotional connection with them as an audience. The lighting creates a somber atmosphere in the church that reflects the sadness of Teresa's loss of her husband and also the themes that are being discussed at this point. The proxemics of the characters is significant at this point. Their physical closeness reflects their need for each other in this world of sinful people around them, and ultimately further engages the audience through their relationship. This scene being in a church promotes the idea of safety and security for the characters in this holy building. There's a sense of protection from the outside world of sins and cruelty that creates a sense of relief for the audience, who can now bond with the characters at this emotional point of the film. It also links to the theme of religion and the idea of having a strong faith, which is currently being discussed by the two characters. The low-angle mid-shot of James and Teresa as they pray in the church is significant, as from the audience's point of view we can literally see them looking up to God for help. Most of the shots in the church are close-ups, which heavily involve the audience in this deep, emotional conversation. When the man in the coma is being blessed, there is a mid-shot of James and Teresa, which focuses the audience's attention to his role as a priest and not so much the victim of the accident, which is who we might expect to have the most attention at a point like this in the film. Keeping our attention on James as a priority, like is done, is another chance for the audience to witness the aid of a good priest and contrast the cultural stereotype, achieving the film's intention.